Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today we're going to look at an election prediction between Vice President Joe Biden and Vice President Mike Pence. So essentially the matchups of the vice presidents, of course, Joe Biden being the former vice president under President Barack Obama, and we all know Mike Pence is the incumbent vice president under President Donald Trump. So this election prediction should actually get pretty close. I just did one with Bernie Sanders versus Mike Pence, I was going to do a Joe Biden video yesterday, but I decided not to, and I waited for today. So if you want to go check that out, it'll probably be in the suggested, to be completely honest with you, but it's on my channel page. But you should also watch this one first, or just skip to the end if you don't really want to watch the reasoning. But again, please don't comment things without actually watching the reasoning. But you can pretty much agree or disagree anyway. But if I did cover your point, and you hadn't watched the video, that might be something that may come up as an issue. But yeah, so we're just going to go through this election prediction. We're going to use the poll closing format, starting off in states like Indiana and Kentucky at the 7 p.m. poll closings, and then finish off in the state of Alaska. So Mike Pence is probably one of the stronger GOP candidates, along with Mitt Romney and a couple other names. Donald Trump really isn't that type of GOP candidate that's doing pretty well. Yes, he's the incumbent. He will have that factor on his side, and he also has the businessman appeal, but he's losing in traditionally conservative states. States like Texas, Arizona, and Georgia all made a leap towards the Democrats, and that was because of Donald Trump. It was not because of strong waves of immigration, because that will be something that will impact these states in the future. I'm actually going to do a video today talking about whether or not Republicans can win without Texas, just as I did one with Democrats winning without the state of California. But when we look at this map, a number of these immigration states, states that have heavy immigration waves year after year that are starting to push towards the Democratic favor. That's not what we saw in 2016. It wasn't extended turnout amongst minorities because, again, Hillary Clinton was not that good of a candidate, but the GOP did lose a number of voters, and it was because of the incumbent president. This is where I do believe that Mike Pence can do a phenomenal job at holding on to a number of these voters. So we will be figuring out swing states as we go along, but we know that a number of these states are going to go a certain way. So Virginia and Vermont go to Joe Biden, and Mike Pence carries the states of South Carolina, Kentucky, and Indiana. West Virginia goes to Pence, obviously, typically conservative state. And then we go into 8 p.m., also Ohio and North Carolina, of course, swing states as always. I see Joe Biden carrying the state of Pennsylvania, considering he was born there, and Mike Pence is no Donald Trump when it comes to being able to appeal to the white working class. He's not that good of a candidate for it. Yes, he comes from a state like Indiana, but it won't be the best thing when it comes to appealing to the white working class. So Florida is a toss-up state. Arkansas at 8:30 goes to Pence, and then we go over to 9 o'clock p.m. poll closings. There's no 9:30 p.m. poll closings. That's pretty interesting. But New Mexico goes to Biden. Colorado's a toss-up. New York goes to Biden. Minnesota I would actually put in the Biden column. Again, I do not think that Vice President Mike Pence will be doing that well of a job at appealing to the white working class. Again, he is not a businessman. He is not one who can appeal with the story of the steel workers and a number of those in the industries that have fallen under the Democratic under the Democratic presidency of Barack Obama, which they definitely use to blame the Democrats for the fall of a number of industries there. But I don't think Mike Pence will be able to capitalize on that. Mike Pence is not one of those candidates. I think he would do well in typically conservative states, which you will see once I start to fill in the map even more. But right now, Mike Pence is not that type of candidate. Michigan, I also see going into the Democratic column, but Wisconsin, I will leave as a toss-up state for now. Utah and Montana are Republican states. Iowa, as always, and Nevada, as always, are toss-up states. Then, of course, 11 p.m. rolls around, and I'm going to fill in Alaska before I fill in Hawaii, but we all know how those states will go. So we finished off the map. We have a total of, not counting districts, we will have a total, I believe, that is 10 toss-up states. So New Hampshire, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Wisconsin, Iowa, Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada. So when we look at this map, also Nebraska second and Maine second, but we'll talk about those in just a second. When we look at this map, Joe Biden clearly is in the advantage. He has 249 electoral votes in his column already. Mike Pence is 163. But again, I was talking about those typically conservative states: Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, and Arizona. I can all put in the Mike Pence column. Now, I'm not going to prolong the video too long because they all pretty much have the same reasoning. Mike Pence can do very well with that conservative base and hold on to a number of those voters. Yes, Joe Biden could do well against Donald Trump in a number of these states, but keep in mind, Biden's probably not carrying Arizona or Georgia or North Carolina even against the president, but Ohio and Iowa could come back because he has such close ties to the Obama administration, and Obama did phenomenal here compared to where Hillary Clinton did. And also, a number of these states aren't really Republican voters. They are just conservatives that typically vote Democratic because they agree with them on issues that relate to their jobs, the economy, and things like that. And When we look at this map, Mike Pence, again, not doing the best when appealing to the white working class, but he can also hold on to those conservative voters and keep them in the conservative column, just as Mitt Romney and John McCain were able to do against Barack Obama in 2008 and 2012. So 249 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 229 for Vice President Mike Pence. Joe Biden will likely hold on to Colorado and Nevada. These are typical Democratic states. Speaking of typical Democratic states, New Hampshire as well. Joe Biden probably isn't losing a number of these states. And keep in mind that Mike Pence, again, is not Donald Trump. He's not going to win that 2nd district up in Maine, and this puts Joe Biden at 269 electoral votes. But speaking of typical conservative areas, the state of Nebraska has very conservative areas, and we will look at the 2nd district, which voted for Mitt Romney by 7% in 2012 after previously being Democratic in 2008. Again, conservative identities do pretty well in Nebraska, but it's becoming a little bit more of a swing district. But for right now, I would leave that one in the Pence column. So we have 269 electoral votes for Joe Biden, which puts him one away from the presidency, and Mike Pence at 230. Right now, I'm going to call the state of Florida for Vice President Mike Pence by a narrow margin, but it's not enough to make a significant impact on the outcome of this election. Because of the state of Wisconsin, I am leaving in the Democratic column for Vice President Joe Biden. So this map looks similar to what many thought was the outcome of the 2016 election, but again, when we look at this map, Mike Pence underperformed in the Rust Belt, but was able to hold on to a number of key Republican states. But again, Donald Trump is probably one of those few Democrats that could hold on to the Republican states narrowly, whereas Mike Pence could win by larger margins. But again, if you're winning, you're winning. Doesn't really matter what the margin is. But Donald Trump is probably that only GOP candidate that could actually win in the Rust Belt pretty easily. Other than someone like John Kasich, who could win Michigan or Pennsylvania, Trump could sweep them all. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.